Get reaction now from Business Unity South Africa itself, who in the meanwhile had raised concerns about the march and its potential impact on the economy. The organization's Khulekani Mathe joins us now. Bob Mathe, good evening. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening.
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to the viewers.
Accusations both sides. You're saying you are destroying the economy. They are saying you are abusing Section 189. You're saying you are abusing Section 77. They're saying, no, you are attacking collective bargaining. All this an indication to me of a lack of a social compact to address the South African high unemployment rate and the economy, which the president promised many years ago when he came into power. It's still not in place. And if that is not in place, these kind of events are not going to stop.
So, Thabo, just to place this into perspective, you know, businesses really seek to grow, and in growing, they are then able to employ more people. Now, in an economy where growth is slow, it is difficult for companies to grow their own businesses. It is in those circumstances when companies end up having to lay off workers. No company, no business just wants to lay off workers for the sake of it, because workers are central to the growth strategies of many businesses.
Yeah.
And so the concerns that are raised by COSATU are valid in terms of the levels of unemployment in the economy and all of the other difficulties and hardships that workers and households are facing. All we are saying is these are not going to be solved by the strike. They're going to be solved by us knuckling down and saying, what is the root cause, and committing to fix the root causes, sector by sector. Yeah. That's how we're going to address this.
Absolutely.
Not making
and what is at the center of that inability for you to sit around the table, government, business, labor, and find each other?
So there is certainly, from our perspective, no inability. You would have covered last week the launch of phase 2 of a partnership between government and business, in which we commit to addressing very specific sets of challenges in the economy, where business clearly commits to working with government to address those. And so we are ready and willing to work with whoever is willing to work with us to really get down to business and turn our economy around. That is what is required.
So government and business seems to share the same vision, at least finding each other, but you are leaving the other block, which is labor and community. Why are they not sharing the same vision that you are having?
Well, we're not leaving anybody behind, because actually there can be no change, there can be no turnaround in any of the key sectors that we are currently focusing in, i.e. energy, transport and logistics, and crime and corruption, without workers. And so the idea that we're leaving workers behind is definitely not true. Workers are central to turning things around and getting this economy going again.
Yeah. So the idea that says, look, you are not playing your part in as far, for example, as keeping your companies liquid and not investing in the productive sectors of our economy.
I would have to say that this is just patently untrue. I mean, if you look at the resources that we've committed to this partnership, you know, both in terms of human capacity and in terms of money, because we want a solution. Those solutions, by the way, are going to create a favorable environment for greater investment by domestic companies as well as foreign direct investment into this country. So all of these are about making us again attractive as an investment destination, which investment is critical to growing the economy.
So what would you, as partners in this arrangement, like to see? One, government focusing on in the next 5 years? What would you like to see Labour coming on board with, and other communities, of course, civil society included?
So as I have indicated, that there's a program that we are already working on in partnership, but we need a solution for the rest of the economy. So we've got to ask tough questions of ourselves and provide answers to why is the economy sluggish, and go sector by sector and say what needs to be done to get the economy going again. And once we've diagnosed the problem and come up with a solution, commit to implementing those. It just won't help us to fight and trade accusations. We believe that we need to knuckle down and get down to business.
With NEDLAC now going to have a summit where they would sit around the table, I think they indicated they're meeting in November, if I'm correct, to iron out these particular issues around social dialogue, around social compacting. There's seemingly a narrow window that we are having now with the government of national unity in place to be able to address some of these systemic challenges. Do you believe that the leadership that we have will be able to steer the country to that kind of progress, economically speaking?
Well, let us be clear. NEDLAC meets all the time. We engage with COSATU and other social partners all the time on a range of policies. We have just had the annual NEDLAC summit taking place in September this year. So engagements are ongoing at NEDLAC. Now, coming to your question about leadership, what I think everybody notices is that there is a more positive sentiment throughout the economy. Certainly, investor confidence is up, business confidence is up, and there's, broadly speaking, just a positive sentiment, which, of course, is absolutely critical to growing the economy, because it says that people believe that something positive is happening or will happen. We need to capitalize on that. We should not squander the opportunity and the goodwill that is out there. We need to make sure that we really move ahead and undertake the difficult task sometimes of addressing some of the structural reforms, which thankfully the presidency, starting in the 6th administration, began to address and has committed to continue doing so. And we must be all hands on deck and turn this economy around. It's been over a decade of very sluggish growth in this economy. So no wonder there are such hardships that everybody is facing, businesses, households, workers, and everybody. So we've got to turn things around.
So are you awake to the need, though, to cushion workers? Because they seem to think everything is on the up and up. Rates are being hiked. Interest rates are being hiked. No one is seemingly expressing any particular interest to cushion workers, to create a level of social stability, because without that feeling that they are being cushioned, I suppose social unrest will be the order of the day.
I mean, I cannot speak on behalf of government, because a big part of that would be a different range of fiscal instruments. But what we do have in South Africa is a social security system in the form of the UIF and other funds like compensation fund and so on, which are meant to kick in through the times of difficulties when workers are in difficulty, to kick in and provide income support, hopefully until they are able to get back on their feet again. And by the way, UIF is in fact money that belongs to workers themselves and companies. And so this is our joint contribution towards making sure that there is at least a softer landing when difficult times do hit.
Yeah. What I heard earlier on from COSATU is that up until this point, in fact, their words are saying, the economy is not working. So Busa can't come and say our day of action today is going to destroy the economy. The economy is already not working and they are not coming on board. But you're saying there is a meeting that happens at NEDLAC all the time. It seems every single meeting and every agreement that comes out of that is never implemented or monitored I mean, one of the economists, I think is Duma Qubule, who said there is no commitment to put a timeline to say this is when we are going to achieve such and such and such. For example, out of the signing now, the private sector is talking about 3.3% growth, if I'm correct. How are you going to do that? What are the timelines? What are you going to be putting in place? Is what is lacking, I suppose, in that plan?
So there is no denying on our part in the private sector that there are difficulties in the economy, and as I have said, that the economy has been sluggish. So on that score, we agree with Cosatu. We differ on how do we fix things. In that during that launch of phase 2, we presented a set of interventions that we said, if we undertake these interventions, there is a good possibility that we can reach 3.3% growth. So that is the prize that lies ahead of taking some hard decisions, working on addressing some difficulties in the economy, because, and this has been modeled by reputable institutions, because that can be achieved. And so what we're saying is that with all of that ahead of us and in front of us as a prize, let us work together and really do what needs to be done to reach that 3.3% growth.
The feeling today is that this effort was not necessarily a waste of time. At least it's got your attention. It's got the attention of government. You can now sit around the table and understand that the workers are really unhappy. And there is a ticking time bomb of 42% unemployment, 62% youth unemployment. And there needs to be something that is seriously done about this at this point.
Absolutely. So we've always been aware that there are difficulties. So as part of our partnership with government, in fact, 140 CEOs signed a pledge in which they commit themselves to being part of a solution in South Africa, because as business, we believe in this country. We want to be a force for good in this country. So there is absolute acknowledgement on our part that the path we're on of slow growth certainly spells disaster. And this is why we say, let's wake up, work together, and ahead of us is a possibility of reaching 3.3% economic growth, GDP growth.